Path of Lucas, The Journey He Endured by Susanne Bellefuielle. Chapter 1 Summary of Lucy's Accident and Its Aftermath. The story begins with Lucy Ferguson, a devoted daughter and loving wife, wrapping up her workday in Kingston, Ontario. She is preparing to drive to her hometown of Alexandria to visit her father, Lucas, as she does every month. Lucy cherishes these visits, as they allow her to reconnect with nature and family. Before leaving, she calls her husband, Mark, a defense lawyer working late on a case, to wish him a good weekend. She exchanges pleasantries with her secretary, Wendy, before heading out. Feeling tired, Lucy stops for coffee and buys her father's favorite donuts before embarking on her 2-hour journey. The drive starts smoothly, but about an hour in, thick fog rolls in, reducing visibility. Suddenly, headlights appear directly in front of her. A vehicle swerves into her lane. Instinctively, Lucy veers to avoid a collision, but her car spins out of control. In a terrifying moment of slow motion, memories of her family flash before her eyes before her car slams into an electrical pole. The impact is brutal. Metal crunches, glass shatters, and the airbag knocks her unconscious. The other driver flees the scene. A passing motorist discovers Lucy's wrecked car and calls 911. Emergency services, paramedics, police, and firefighters rush to the scene. Firefighters carefully extract Lucy from the mangled vehicle, and paramedics stabilize her before rushing her to the hospital. Police investigate the accident, identifying Lucy and attempting to locate her next of kin. At the hospital, nurses try to contact Mark, but he is unavailable, immersed in his work. Meanwhile, doctors assess Lucy's critical condition. She has severe head trauma, brain swelling, and is in a coma. An MRI is ordered immediately to evaluate the extent of her injuries. When Mark finally checks his phone, he receives the horrifying news. Panicked, he rushes to the hospital, his mind flooded with fear. On the way, he calls Lucy's children, Danny, Ryan, Dwayne, and Johnny, to inform them of their mother's condition. Their reactions are heart-wrenching, especially Danny's, who promises to gather his siblings and head to the hospital. Mark also attempts to reach Lucas, Lucy's father, but initially gets no answer. When Lucas finally returns a call, he is cheerful, expecting Lucy's arrival, only to be shattered by Mark's trembling voice. The news that his beloved daughter is in a coma sends Lucas into a state of shock and despair. He immediately leaves for the hospital, praying for her survival. Mark arrives first, frantic for answers. A nurse directs him to the ICU, where doctors explain Lucy's grave condition. The next 24 hours will be crucial in determining her chances of recovery. When Mark sees Lucy, connected to machines, bruised, and unresponsive, he breaks down, holding her hand and pleading for her to wake up. Lucas soon arrives, equally devastated. He and Mark share a sorrowful embrace before Lucas takes his place at Lucy's bedside. Overcome with emotion, he whispers to her, begging her to fight for her family. As he strokes her hair, memories of his past, particularly of Lucy's mother, flood his mind. In an effort to reach Lucy, Lucas begins recounting his life story, framing it as if it were a tale about someone else. He reflects on his youth, his love for Lucy's mother, and the joys and sorrows that shaped their family. His words are filled with longing, both for the past and for Lucy's recovery. He refuses to lose her, just as he lost his wife years before. As the machines beep steadily in the background, Lucy remains motionless, her breathing the only sign of life. Lucas continues speaking, determined to keep her tethered to the world through his voice, his memories, and his love. Themes and emotional impact. Family devotion. Lucy's deep love for her father and children underscores the tragedy of her accident. Sudden tragedy. The abruptness of the crash highlights how life can change in an instant. Grief and hope. Mark and Lucas embody the raw pain of potential loss, yet their presence at Lucy's bedside symbolizes unwavering hope. The power of memory. Lucas's storytelling reflects how love and shared history can be a lifeline in moments of despair. Chapter 2 Summary. Lucas meets Isabel, a fateful encounter in 1956. The chapter opens in the late summer of 1956, introducing 17-year-old Lucas Clarkson, a tall, handsome farm boy with striking dark brown eyes and a gentle demeanor. He takes immense pride in his 1949 red Studebaker, meticulously polishing it until it gleams. His father, John Clarkson, a hard-working and respected farmer, asks Lucas to run an errand, picking up tools and supplies in town before 6 o'clock. Eager for a drive, Lucas happily agrees, relishing the chance to cruise through his beloved hometown of Alexandria. The narrative provides background on the Clarkson family. John and his wife, Elizabeth, have 3 surviving children. James, their eldest, married with 3 kids, 2 of whom have developmental disabilities. Mary, married with 5 children, and Lucas, their youngest, born after the tragic loss of their 3rd child, William. Lucas is the family's miracle child, adored by his mother but kept disciplined by his father. As Lucas drives down the country road, music blaring, Hank Williams, Johnny Horton, Patsy Cline, he spots 2 girls walking along the roadside. Recognizing them as the Bourgeois sisters, daughters of a Quebecois farmer who recently moved to the area, he slows down. The younger sister, Isabelle, immediately captivates him. She is strikingly beautiful, shy, and blushes under his gaze. Her older sister, France, is more outgoing and accepts Lucas's offer for a ride home. Lucas, normally confident, stumbles over his words as he introduces himself. Isabelle remains quiet, but Lucas is utterly enchanted. France explains that their family moved from Quebec City after their original farmhouse burned down. When they arrive at the bourgeois home, Lucas notices the large family, 6 siblings in total, but his attention remains fixed on Isabelle. As she exits the car, she softly says, "Merci," and for a brief moment, their eyes lock. Lucas is overcome with an unfamiliar, intense emotion, love at first sight. Distracted by thoughts of Isabelle, Lucas nearly forgets his errand but manages to collect his father's supplies from Mr. Brown's general store. The observant clerk teases him, recognizing the love-struck expression on Lucas's face. "Looks like you saw an angel from heaven." Lucas admits he's smitten, and Mr. Brown chuckles, saying, "Why, son, you look as though you are in love." On the drive home, Lucas slows near Isabelle's house, hoping for another glimpse of her. When he sees no sign of her, a pang of fear strikes him. What if I never see her again? Back at the Clarkson farm, Lucas is in unusually high spirits. His parents exchange knowing glances. His father, John, recognizes the look of young love. At supper, Lucas excitedly tells them about meeting Isabelle. His mother, Elizabeth, fondly recalls how John acted the same way when they first met, pretending to visit her brother just to see her. The family shares a warm, humorous moment, and Lucas feels grateful for their love. Yet, he can't shake the thought of Isabelle. Themes and significance. First, love and destiny. Lucas's instant connection with Isabelle sets the stage for a deep, lifelong romance. His nervousness and immediate infatuation highlight the purity and intensity of young love. Family bonds. The Clarksons are portrayed as a tight-knit, hard-working family, with Lucas being the adored youngest child. Their teasing yet supportive dynamic contrasts with the mysterious bourgeois household. Cultural and historical context. The 1950s rural setting, with its focus on farming, family legacies, and classic country music, enriches the story's nostalgic tone. Foreshadowing. Lucas's fear of never seeing Isabelle again subtly hints at future obstacles in their relationship. Chapter 3 Summary. Longing, Friendship, and Farewells. 3 weeks have passed since Lucas first met Isabelle Bourgeois, and he has been unable to see her again. Despite driving by her house multiple times, she is never around, deepening his longing. His brother, James, notices his melancholy and suggests knocking on her door, but Lucas, shy and respectful, refuses, fearing it would be improper. James, sympathetic, reveals he saw some of Isabelle's family walking to their old farm early on a Saturday morning. Lucas, usually busy with farm chores, considers this a potential lead but remains hesitant. His father, John, senses his son's unusual mood but gives him space, while his mother, Elizabeth, remains supportive. Lucas's spirits lift when Elizabeth informs him that his best friend, Steve Lewis, has returned from Air Force training earlier than expected. Steve, now training to be a pilot, is home for a brief visit before his official deployment. Lucas, overjoyed, rushes to see him. At Steve's house, the two friends reunite with a bear hug, and Steve shares his excitement about earning his pilot's license soon. His parents, though proud, are visibly emotional. Steve's Uncle Tom died in World War II, and the thought of their son leaving is painful. To lighten the mood, Steve asks Lucas to take him for a drive in his beloved Studebaker. The two head to the Alexandria Hotel, reminiscing about old times, like the night Steve got drunk on his first beer. Over drinks, Steve expresses gratitude for Lucas's unwavering support during his tough childhood. He also encourages Lucas to pursue his dream of becoming a mechanic and not to give up on finding Isabel. Their night takes a turn when Chris Cameron, the town bully and mayor's spoiled son, provokes Steve. A violent fight erupts after Chris insults Steve, calling him a worthless piece of dirt. Steve, fueled by years of pent-up anger, beats Chris mercilessly until Lucas intervenes. The crowd cheers Steve for standing up to the bully, and the two leave, reflecting on the confrontation. The next morning, Lucas learns that Steve has received his deployment orders. He must leave for Cold Lake, Alberta, the next day. Steve visits the Clarkson farm one last time, where Elizabeth serves him coffee and cake. He tells Lucas he doesn't know how long he'll be stationed there but urges him again to follow his dreams and find Isabel. Their final goodbye is emotional. Steve gives Lucas a piece of his high school football memorabilia as a keepsake, saying, "Remember me, friend." Lucas, fighting tears, watches Steve drive away, knowing their bond is irreplaceable. Key themes and developments. Unrequited longing. Lucas's inability to see Isabel again torments him, highlighting his hopeless romantic nature and respect for boundaries. Friendship and brotherhood. Steve's return and subsequent departure emphasize the deep bond between the two. His encouragement pushes Lucas to take risks, both in love, Isabel, and career, mechanic dreams. Conflict and standing up for oneself. The fight with Chris symbolizes Steve's growth from a bullied boy to a confident man, while Lucas's intervention shows his loyalty and strength. Foreshadowing. Steve's departure hints at future military-related developments, while his advice to Lucas sets up the next chapter's pursuit of Isabel. Chapter 4 Summary. A long-awaited reunion and a promising date. As summer fades into autumn, Lucas Clarkson remains preoccupied with thoughts of Isabelle Bourgeois, the shy French girl he met weeks ago. Despite driving past her house multiple times, he hasn't seen her until fate intervenes. While checking the mail, he receives a telegram from Steve, his best friend, announcing his deployment overseas. Distracted by the news, Lucas heads into town to visit Steve's parents, but his journey takes an unexpected turn. On the way, Lucas spots two figures walking along the road, Isabel and her sister, France. His heart races as he pulls over, rolling down his window with a beaming smile. Isabel, still bashful, responds with a soft "oui" when he greets her. France, more outgoing, explains that Isabel understands some English, but struggles to speak it. Lucas, thrilled to see her again, offers them a ride home. Inside the car, Lucas steals glances at Isabel, who, despite her shyness, flashes him a radiant smile, a stark contrast to their first meeting. Determined to connect with her, Lucas asks France to act as a translator, and through her, he musters the courage to ask Isabel out. "Would you go on a date with me?" Isabel, after a brief exchange with France, agrees. Lucas, overjoyed, suggests Mama Jean's diner for Saturday at 7 p.m., miming the time by holding up 7 fingers and shouting "Samedi," French for Saturday. The sisters laugh, and Isabel repeats, "Oui." 7. Still riding high from securing the date, Lucas continues to Steve's parents' house. There, he finds Stella gardening and Arthur acting strangely disoriented while mowing the lawn. Inside, over lemonade and Stella's famous lemon meringue pie, Arthur opens up about his fears for Steve, drawing parallels to his brother Tom, who died in World War II. Arthur reveals that Steve idolized Tom and, like him, is driven by a sense of duty. Though proud, Arthur is terrified of losing his son the same way he lost his brother. Lucas, deeply moved, offers his support, promising to be there for them. On the drive home, Lucas's thoughts shift from Steve's departure to his upcoming date with Isabel and a new dilemma. How will they communicate? Back at the Clarkson farm, he excitedly tells his parents about the date and asks his mother, Elizabeth, to help him learn basic French phrases. John chuckles at his son's love-struck determination, while Elizabeth agrees enthusiastically. Key themes and developments. Love blossoming. Lucas's persistence pays off. Isabel's shy smile signals mutual interest, setting the stage for their first official date. Friendship and sacrifice. Steve's impending deployment weighs heavily on his parents, especially Arthur, who relives the trauma of losing his brother Tom in war. Language as a barrier, and bridge. Lucas's struggle to communicate with Isabel highlights cultural differences, but also his willingness to learn for her. Family support. Elizabeth's offer to teach Lucas French underscores the Clarksons' encouragement of his romantic pursuit, contrasting with earlier hesitation. Chapter 5 Summary. A perfect first date, love blossoms between Lucas and Isabel. The week leading up to Lucas's first date with Isabel is filled with nervous excitement. He practices French phrases with his mother, Elizabeth, and meticulously prepares, washing and polishing his cherished Studebaker, selecting his best plaid shirt, jeans, and cowboy boots, and grooming carefully. His parents, John and Elizabeth, beam with pride as they send him off, sensing this night could be life-changing for their son. Meanwhile, Isabel sits anxiously on her porch with her sister France, who helps her get ready, picking out a pink floral dress with lace trim that accentuates her delicate frame. Isabel, shy yet radiant, practices English phrases from a small book France gifts her, determined to communicate better with Lucas. When his car finally arrives, her heart races. She's never been on a real date before. Awkward yet charming start. Lucas, nervous, greets Isabel in broken French, while she surprises him by responding in hesitant but understandable English. Their mutual effort breaks the ice, and they share a mesmerizing moment of eye contact before Lucas helps her into his car. Dinner at Mama Jean's diner. Lucas, ever the gentleman, opens doors, pulls out her chair, and orders for her the famous Mama Jean's hamburger. Isabel, overwhelmed but enchanted, experiences her first restaurant meal, savoring both the food and Lucas's attentive care. Quiet connection. Between bites, they steal glances, their chemistry undeniable. Isabel admires Lucas's confidence and kindness, while Lucas is smitten by her beauty and quiet grace. As Lucas drives Isabel home, he struggles to voice his feelings, terrified she might reject him. Sensing his hesitation, Isabel gently asks, "What is on your mind, Lucas?" Gathering courage, he finally stammers, "Isabel, do you want to go on another date with me?" Her face lights up. "Yes, I like to go back out with you." Relieved and overjoyed, Lucas suggests a movie the following week, and Isabel agrees eagerly. At her doorstep, they share a warm hug, and as she waves goodbye, Lucas knows he's falling in love. Key themes and developments. Breaking barriers. Their language differences initially create tension, but their mutual effort bridges the gap, deepening their connection. First love's innocence. Isabel's nervous excitement, her first date, first restaurant meal, contrasts with Lucas's determined chivalry, highlighting the purity of young romance. Family support. Elizabeth's French lessons and John's proud send-off underscore how Lucas's family encourages his happiness. Foreshadowing. Lucas's instant certainty that Isabel is the one hints at a future proposal, while Isabel's growing confidence in English suggests her integration into his world. Chapter 6 Summary. A father's vigil and the blossoming of young love. The chapter opens in the present timeline, with Lucas sitting beside his unconscious daughter Lucy in the hospital, holding her hand as the heart monitor beeps steadily. Overwhelmed with emotion, he wipes away tears and continues recounting the story of how he met her mother, Isabel, hoping his words will somehow reach Lucy and bring her back to consciousness. Lucas tenderly brushes Lucy's hair, telling her how much she resembles her mother and how proud Isabel was of their family. Lost in memories, he drifts back to 1956, reliving the early days of his romance with Isabel, a time of innocent love and youthful excitement. The narrative shifts to Lucas and Isabel's second date, a pivotal moment in their budding relationship. An eager reunion. Lucas arrives at Isabel's house, surprised to find it unusually quiet. Isabel, bursting with excitement, runs out and jumps into his car before he can even open the door for her. First movie experience. Lucas takes her to see John Wayne's Legend of the Lost, and Isabel, who has never been to a theater before, is mesmerized by the grandeur of the cinema, the red velvet ropes, the smell of popcorn, the flickering screen. Lucas watches her childlike wonder with adoration. A sweet connection. They hold hands throughout the movie, and afterward, Lucas treats her to sodas at Mama Jean's diner, where they toast to us. A quiet acknowledgement of their deepening bond. Over drinks, Lucas, nervous but determined, asks Isabel to be his official girlfriend. Her eyes well up as she responds, "Yes, yes, Lucas, I would love to be your girlfriend." Overcome with emotion, Lucas leans in and kisses her, a tender, perfect moment that leaves them both breathless. After their magical evening, Lucas drives Isabel home, stealing one more passionate kiss by the car before she rushes inside, worried her strict father will see them. As Lucas drives away, he replays every moment in his mind, certain he's found the woman he wants to marry. Back home, Lucas's parents, Elizabeth and John, tease him about his love-struck grin. When he reveals he and Isabel are now officially a couple, they exchange knowing glances. His mother recognizes the look of true love. Lucas lies in bed, replaying the night, his heart full. Themes and emotional impact. Past versus present. The chapter intertwines Lucas's hospital vigil with his nostalgic memories, emphasizing how his love story with Isabel shaped his life and how Lucy's accident forces him to confront the fragility of happiness. Young love's magic. The date captures the sweetness of first love, Isabel's awe at her first movie, Lucas's nervous confession, their first kiss, and the simple joy of holding hands. Family bonds. Lucas's parents' playful teasing contrasts with the unseen tension of Isabel's strict household, hinting at future challenges. Chapter 7 Summary. A relationship in crisis, secrets, and heartbreak. Several months into their courtship, Lucas has successfully introduced Isabel to his warm, loving family. She charms them all, especially endearing herself to Lucas's niece and nephew, Donna and Scott, who have developmental disabilities. However, Isabel adamantly refuses to let Lucas meet her own family, offering vague excuses whenever he asks. Lucas grows increasingly confused and concerned, sensing that something is deeply wrong in Isabel's home life. One spring day, Lucas picks Isabel up as usual, but this time, she rushes to the car in tears, visibly shaken and frightened. When Lucas presses her for answers, she clams up, insisting it's just a bad day. Sensing her distress, Lucas drives them to Loch Garry Park, a quiet, secluded spot where they can talk privately. There, Isabel collapses into sobs, but still refuses to explain what's troubling her. Frustrated by her secrecy, Lucas confronts her directly. "If you don't tell me, there isn't any reason for us to be together." The words shock Isabel, who loves Lucas deeply but is trapped by fear and shame. She reveals that her sister, France, has moved back to Quebec City, leaving her isolated, but still avoids the real issue. Lucas, though sympathetic, insists that trust and honesty are essential for their relationship to grow. Isabel finally admits that her family is extremely poor. She's even taken a house-cleaning job to help feed her siblings. Lucas, unfazed, reassures her. "I don't care if you're poor. I love you, Isabel." But when he insists on meeting her parents that very day, Isabel panics, shouting, "You don't understand. My family is not like yours." Her reaction suggests something far worse than poverty, something she cannot bear to confess. Overwhelmed, Isabel bolts from the car and runs into the woods, sobbing uncontrollably. Lucas chases after her, calling her name until he finds her curled up beneath a tree, trembling with anguish. Though he apologizes for pushing her, Isabel remains trapped in her shame, unable to share the truth about her family. Exhausted and defeated, Isabel demands to go home. The car ride is silent and tense. When they arrive, she flees without a word, leaving Lucas devastated and bewildered. As he drives away, he pulls over, rests his head on the steering wheel, and grieves the loss of the woman he loves, wondering what terrible secret could have torn them apart. Themes and emotional impact. Secrets and shame. Isabel's refusal to reveal her family's truth suggests abuse, neglect, or deep dysfunction, something she fears will drive Lucas away. Class and judgment. Though Lucas doesn't care about her poverty, Isabel's internalized shame prevents her from believing him. Love versus fear. Their argument highlights the tension between intimacy and self-protection. Isabel loves Lucas, but cannot risk vulnerability. Chapter 8 Summary. A chance reunion and glimmer of hope. The chapter opens with Lucas enduring a painful summer without Isabel. Despite driving past her house repeatedly, he never catches sight of her. The once optimistic young man has become withdrawn, throwing himself into farm work to numb his heartbreak. His family notices the change, but treads carefully, respecting his grief. John Clarkson learns that Mr. Thomas, an elderly landowner, is selling his property, a valuable gravel pit. He brings James and Lucas to inspect the land. When John mentions that Mr. Thomas lives near Isabel's family, Lucas's heart races. He suddenly remembers Isabel once said she worked for a Mr. Thomas. Could this be his chance to see her again? At Mr. Thomas's house, Lucas hopes to find Isabel, but instead meets the man's granddaughter, Julia, who invites them inside. The deal is struck quickly, but Lucas remains distracted, listening for any sign of Isabel. After finalizing the paperwork with John's lawyer, the Clarkson men stop at Mama Jean's diner, where Lucas and Isabel once shared tender moments. A well-meaning waitress recognizes Lucas and asks about the pretty young lady, reopening his wounds. James tries to comfort him, but Lucas shuts down the conversation, unwilling to revisit his pain. On Friday, Lucas returns alone to deliver the signed documents to Mr. Thomas. As he waits in the parlor, he hears familiar footsteps. Isabel enters with a tea tray, freezing in shock when she sees him. Their reunion is awkward yet electric. Isabel, though flustered, is clearly moved by seeing Lucas again. Lucas, desperate to reconnect, begs for a chance to talk after her shift. She hesitates but agrees, warning him she must be home before dark, a hint at her family's strict control. As they steal glances during Lucas's meeting with Mr. Thomas, their unspoken longing is palpable. When Lucas leaves, he's buoyed by hope. They've arranged to meet at 4 p.m., giving him a chance to finally understand the secrets that tore them apart. Themes and developments. Love versus duty. Isabel's fear of her family clashes with her desire for Lucas, while his persistence highlights his devotion. Growth through pain. Lucas has matured from a heartbroken boy into a resolute man, willing to fight for answers. Foreshadowing. Isabel's insistence on returning before dark hints at danger in her household, setting the stage for revelations. Chapter 9 Summary. Truth, healing, and rekindled love. Lucas, bursting with anticipation, rushes through his farm chores to prepare for his long-awaited reunion with Isabel. He meticulously cleans his Studebaker, wanting everything to be perfect. When he arrives at her house, she emerges just as he pulls up, almost as if she'd been waiting. He greets her with a gentle kiss on the cheek, and though surprised, Isabel melts into the moment, grateful to be near him again. Rather than going to a public place, Lucas suggests they retreat to his family's farm, where they can talk undisturbed. Isabel hesitates. She doesn't want to intrude, but Lucas reassures her. They settle beneath the giant oak tree, a spot Isabel has always loved, where the changing autumn leaves mirror the transformation in their relationship. As they sit together, Lucas apologizes for pressuring her months earlier, insisting he doesn't need to know her secrets to love her. But Isabel, tearful yet determined, insists on confronting her past. A childhood of abuse. She reveals her father emotionally tormented her from age 7, while her mother physically beat her, the last time being the day Lucas picked her up in distress months prior. The jacket incident. Isabel explains her mother's rage that day was because she'd used part of her earnings to buy a spring jacket, the one she wore for Lucas, leaving less money for the family. Protecting her siblings. Though her parents abused her and her sister France, they never harmed the younger children. Isabel and France shielded them. Lucas is horrified but steadfast, holding her tightly as she sobs. He vows to stand by her, though he struggles to hide his anger at her parents. With her secrets finally shared, Isabel feels lighter, as if a burden is lifted. Lucas asks her to be his girlfriend again, and she joyfully accepts. They kiss passionately beneath the oak tree, their love stronger for the honesty they've shared. As dusk approaches, Lucas drives Isabel home, both dreading the separation. She makes him swear to keep her past private, and he agrees, though he worries about her returning to an abusive household. Still, Isabel insists her parents have changed, her father no longer drinks, and her mother hasn't hit her since spring. When they part, Lucas kisses her tenderly, promising to never let her go again. As he drives away, Isabel watches, hopeful yet anxious. For the first time, she's entrusted someone with her darkest truths, and though the road ahead is uncertain, she knows Lucas will fight for her. Themes and emotional impact. The power of vulnerability. Isabel's confession is a cathartic release, proving that love requires trust and courage. Protective love. Lucas's fury at her parents contrasts with his gentle care for Isabel, highlighting his devotion. Cycles of pain and healing. The autumn leaves symbolize renewal. Isabel's willingness to confront her past marks the start of her emotional rebirth. Chapter 10 Summary. A year has passed since Lucas and Isabel first started dating, and their relationship has only grown stronger. Lucas is eager to celebrate Isabel's upcoming 18th birthday and decides to buy her an engagement ring. He visits a jewelry store in Cornwall, where he meets Mr. Ford, the owner. Lucas is nervous, but determined to find the perfect ring for his girlfriend. With Mr. Ford's guidance, Lucas browses through various engagement rings and finally finds one that catches his eye, a simple yet elegant diamond ring. He purchases the ring and returns home, excited to propose to Isabel on her birthday. On the day of Isabel's birthday, Lucas is nervous but excited. He takes the day off from work and prepares for the big evening ahead. He plans to take Isabel to Mama Jean's restaurant for supper, where they had their first date, and then propose to her at Loch Garry Park. However, as he's getting ready, he starts to think that maybe he shouldn't wait and should propose to her at the restaurant instead. When Lucas arrives at Isabel's house, he meets her father, Mr. Bourgeois, who is sitting on the front porch with his oxygen tank. Lucas is uncomfortable around Mr. Bourgeois due to their past conflicts, but he tries to be polite and respectful. He finds Isabel in the backyard with her siblings and is struck by how much she'll be a great mother one day. Lucas and Isabel spend the evening together, and he takes her to Mama Jean's restaurant for supper. They sit at the same table where they had their first date, and Lucas is filled with happy memories. As they're enjoying their meal, Lucas starts to get nervous about proposing to Isabel. He's not sure when to do it, but when the waitress brings out a birthday cake with 18 candles, he sees it as the perfect opportunity. Lucas gets down on one knee beside Isabel's chair and pulls out the ring, asking her to marry him. Isabel is shocked but overjoyed, and she says yes. Lucas puts the ring on her finger, and they share a passionate kiss as the entire restaurant erupts in applause and cheers. It's a moment that neither of them will ever forget, and they're surrounded by love and happiness.